Hi, and welcome to another edition of What the Funding. I'm Coalition for Health Funding Deputy Director Tiffany Kaszuba, and today we're going to talk about automatic continuing resolutions and why they're not the best way to fund the federal government. Spoiler alert, this will impact public health funding. As all Americans are aware, last month we had a 35-day shutdown, the longest in American history. In addition to the government being shut down for 35 days, federal workers missed 2 paychecks, creating issues in our economy, in our communities, and in our families. Of course, because of all the damage of a government shutdown, there are a lot of proposals on Capitol Hill right now to avoid another one in the future. Some proposals you might have heard about are not paying members of Congress while the government is shut down. But one of the most salient proposals on Capitol Hill right now is the use of an automatic continuing resolution to prevent future shutdowns. For those of you who aren't aware, continuing resolutions are a tool that Congress uses to fund the government when they can't make a decision on time about how they want to spend taxpayer dollars. Generally, these continuing resolutions last for a couple weeks or maybe a month, sometimes a year, when Congress decides that they can't make a decision. Our understanding is that there are conversations happening about whether or not an automatic continuing resolution should be part of the deal to keep the government open beyond the February 15th deadline. We want to go over today 4 reasons why we think automatic continuing resolutions are bad public policy and therefore bad for public health funding. Number 1, as a result of the automatic continuing resolution, we could end up on last year's funding levels for a year or even more. This doesn't allow Congress to make changes in how we're spending taxpayer dollars to reflect what the current challenges and needs are of the American people. In health, of course, with threats always changing, this is a particular concern. Number 2, just because we froze federal funding at last year's levels doesn't mean that we aren't going to see a slow erosion of funding for public health. Of course, with each year there's inflation, and what we spent last year won't buy us the same amount as what we need next year. But also it will allow them to erode this public health funding without political consequences, without actively making the decision to cut public health. Number 3, it'll also reduce the pressure on Congress to enact regular appropriations bills. Of course, for those of us who have seen continuing resolutions in the past, we know the impact that this has on the agency's ability to plan, delaying grants, or potentially even sending out grants at a lower funding level. Really, until the agencies have that certainty of what their funding is going to be for the year, it's very hard for them to plan and effectively distribute funding across the country. And number 4, automatic continuing resolutions would diminish Congress's ability to leverage the power of the purse to reflect current national priorities. For all of these reasons, the Coalition for Health Funding strongly opposes the inclusion of an automatic continuing resolution provision in a deal to keep the government open beyond February 15th. We hope you'll join us in telling Congress that there is no substitute for them doing their job and passing regular appropriations bills to keep the federal government open. We hope you'll take the time to follow us on social media. Have a great day.